節目內主持人及嘉賓的言論純屬個人意見，並不代表本台立場。
Hi, welcome to Boiling Point. I'm Ben, and if you don't know Miss Goo, how should
You can call me Emilia.
Okay, Emilia.
Yeah. Hi.
So we're going to be interviewing Emilia today, and Emilia is very popular online. But before we discuss that, I just want to mention that. I've just come from the Wan Chai District Court, and three young people just got sentenced to 3 years in jail they're accused of rioting, and they got found guilty on that charge of rioting. And one of them is a Hong Kong University student, a young woman. I think she's like about 20.
Miss Ho.
Miss Hui, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know her surname. I know her first name is, our English name is Ashley. And I couldn't get into the court because, unsurprisingly, there was already a lot of supporters of the three in the court, so I had to wait outside. But when the sentencing, when it ended, what I remember most vividly is all the looks of the faces of the people as they walked out. And some of them were crying, and it was quite emotional at that time. And I remember Ray Wong was there, and I spoke briefly to him, and he said, we tried peaceful methods, but we failed. We don't see any future, so we have two choices: one, to die, or two, to oppose the government. And Ray looked quite, sad. And it's interesting, you have to remember that he is one of the 10
Yeah.
whose case is going straight to the High Court.
Yeah.
And next year.
With a higher maximum sentence, probably.
Exactly.
So he is probably thinking about his future as well. Like, that's kind of depressing for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess Edward Lung is in the 10 as well.
Yeah. So it's funny how people, like the pro-government people, are asking, like, where is Ray Wong? Where is Edward Lung? They are not facing any punishment, but we were like, they have to go to the High Court next year. So what would they? And then they say, why are justice so delayed? Why are they going next year? And then they don't really understand the system. It's the more serious the cases are, the later, like, it's not because it's more serious than it's later, but you need to get to that procedure, and then, so it's really frustrating to see these comments sometimes.
Yeah. And so they were found guilty yesterday, and so they spent, I think, their first night in custody last night, Thursday night, and I was talking to someone at the court today, and they told me that they'll appeal, but it'll be at least 2 or 3 months before they can, if they can possibly get bail for that appeal.
It's difficult to get a bail in such serious crimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think they have to get legal aid before they can appeal.
Probably, yeah.
So, Emilia, what's some of the commentary? Have you noticed any commentary? I know it's only...
Yeah, it's only been a few hours.
Exactly. But I think people were quite shocked and sad from yesterday when the guilty verdict came down. So what were you seeing online,
I think
like last night?
people are saying that from the judgment, the judge wasn't really logical in her explanation, and then she's not even trying to abide with the rule of presumptions of innocence. So she would just say, so they're here, they're running. Why don't they stay close to the convenience stores if they're not riding? So she would say something like that instead of trying to prove that, like instead of spending more verses in her judgment to prove the guilt, she would say, "Why not?" So it's not really
like
logical.
The decision had already been made, and
And
the trial was like a show.
So you can still appeal, but the process itself is already torturing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, you know about this, right? Because you study law, so you have.
Well, I study law, but then you still don't. Sometimes judges make different decisions on similar facts. So I on one hand, I really want to respect the court, and I really want to trust that, like, the court is doing justice. On the other hand, sometimes you see, I would imagine that it's that the judge would first have the decision and then have the judgment to rationalize their decision. So, well, that's very disrespectful, but that's what, when I was reading the judgments of different cases on similar facts, that was what I suspected. But I don't know, like, sometimes it's really frustrating, like for the general public and as well as for law students.
Yeah, I think the judge said yesterday that the level of violence was equivalent to that which happened, was it 1989 when the some Vietnamese refugees
Use some spears and
stuff
to attack
there were
people.
some different groups of Vietnamese refugees in a camp, and one group attacked the other with, like,
and then
sticks.
they say you're already seeking asylum, you're already asking for help from the Hong Kong government, and you're still rioting, still. So, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. And one thing I found a little bit interesting, I think there were some other cases related to the fishball revolution that have already been decided. Like, I think there was one guy, he threw a bottle, who was accused of throwing a bottle, and he went to jail for 9 months. So I wonder...
Young, right?
Pat Young, yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder how some people get charged with rioting, but some others are charged with, like, I don't know, some lesser charge.
Well, because, like, it's a kind of a new situation for Hong Kong, so the court is being accused of being inconsistent. I don't know. I suspect that maybe because, like, Pat Young have some political background, like he's a member of the Civic Passion, so maybe they're trying to, like, get him as soon as possible. But then, like, I don't know, like, it's you don't really know what they're thinking, because, like, it just feels like they're randomly picking people, and then some they are charging, some they're not, and then you would want to think that they're basing everything on facts, but you don't really know. So, well, so it's not the problem of the court. It's the it's the government's problem. The prosecution.
Yeah. I just let you know one other thing that I saw at the court today. When the family members of, I think it was defendant one, or I'm not sure actually, one of the defendant's family members were in the court, and when they left the building, there was suddenly, like, all these photographers, like I don't know what to say, like a huge mob of photographers trying to take their photo and film them as they left the court. Now this is their family members. This is not.
They would say that they're trying to do their job. They're trying to protect public interest and stuff, but
Yeah. And in response to that, there were a group of people who used umbrellas and their own bodies to try and shield.
Yeah, I was in that group once. I think half a year ago, or maybe a few months ago, when some earlier charges that are discharged right now. So some other people who are charged for rioting and stuff went to court for the first time and second time. And then it was really ridiculous how the reporters were trying to close up and shoot their faces.
Yeah.
Like, and then I even heard one reporter saying that, you already did that. Are you afraid to let the world know? And then they are really like being really hostile to the protesters or to the defendants. And then I don't know, like we were trying to protect the defendants, and then they just used the cameras. They're really big cameras, and to hit your head and stuff. Like they don't really hit you, but they push and then. It's
I remember
really
one of the I think he had a video camera. He was like sticking it down on the ground, and so it was shooting up at the family member's face.
So people would say that, like, if you're from one media company, then your opponent, maybe like Oriental Daily, got the photo, but then you, the Apple Daily, didn't get any photos, so you lost. So they're having this competing.
It's kind of gets to a really extreme level, and they take. I think we talked about this actually on a previous show, but in Hong Kong they actually show photos of dead bodies. I couldn't believe it. That reporter, the RTHK reporter, who was pulled out of the water a week or two ago. Anyway, the Hong Kong media, when it comes to taking photos and showing, gruesome stuff and kind of not respecting kind of people's feelings.
I think Taiwan is not. Taiwan is good at this as well.
Right. It's as bad as Taiwan.
Trying to show everything and shows anything unrelated. There was a car crash in Taiwan about half a month ago.
Really?
Yeah, like 30-something people died from the car crash. And then I saw the news on the news report, and then they actually mentioned what did they eat for the Last Supper. And then they say, the supper cost like 3,000 Taiwan dollar, whatever, their currency. And then, that is like the last meal, at least they are full, whatever. And then it's really ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Now, we've got 5 minutes left. Emilia, can you tell me about, what you and your friends think about Hong Kong's future, and, what are they, I think you were telling me earlier that people feel helpless, and they're thinking about if they can move overseas, they're preparing to do that. And then there's another group who just put their heads down and do work hard, and then every so often they take a holiday and have some relief. Can you elaborate, or can you say a bit more about that?
So basically, I think my so-called more educated friends, like they have received education overseas in famous universities, and then they have seen the world, etc. And then they would think that Hong Kong is their home, but then it's not a really good place to live. Maybe it's a good place to earn money, to do business, to, I don't know, if you want to earn some money in the stock market, whatever, it's a really good place. But in terms of if you really want to enjoy a quality of life, it's not really the place. It's too pressurized, people are too judgmental, and then people are too hostile towards each other, and then the legal system, they would think that it's deteriorating, and then the electrical, they don't know what's going on inside, like everyone is just like BSing all the time, and then they would think that it's a place with no future for a good life. So they would think about maybe moving to the US, Canada, UK. The UK is not too good as well, like with Brexit and everything. And then, but they are still thinking about like moving to other places. So that's what they want. And then for like maybe people who don't really have the necessary language skill or the money to move, they would think that, oh, then I would just like work as an ordinary person in an ordinary company, and then go traveling once in a while to get some relief, to forget about things in Hong Kong for sometimes, and then I'll go back and then work again and then accumulate my money, and then I would go to another place next year, and then so they become a really animalistic. I don't know, like the lifestyle is really simple, and then you don't really think much. You just work and then eat and then enjoy your leisure time, and then yeah.
I see.
And they try to convince themselves that they are happy. Yeah. And I actually have some friends who are educated, like they are doctors in training, and then they think that Hong Kong is hopeless as well, and they have thought about suiciding and, you know, all these kind of stuff, even if even that they are already doctors and lawyers and like professionals in training, like.
Yeah, that's disturbing to hear.
They think life is like there is no meaning in life. So no matter what you do, it's futile. You can't change anything. So.
Yeah, that's quite depressing to hear. Even doctors are like giving up hope. And
they would even say that, oh, the reason why I pursue in the degree of being a doctor is that I want it to be socially acceptable for me to kill myself. Like people would say that it's because of my academic pressure that I kill myself, but in fact it's really that he find no hope in humanity or in Hong Kong, or so he would say that, oh, it's less depressing for my family if they think that way, that I'm just pressurized from my studies.
Wow, okay. Okay, thanks, Emilia. We're running out of time. Now, yeah.
Announcement?
I have a brief announcement to make. It's about MJ. I've kicked MJ off the show. He was, a co-host until last week. I had to kick him off because I found him to be dishonest, and he was doing some promotion of Passion Times and Civic Passion on the show, and he did an ad for Nokia on the show, and he wouldn't admit that it was an ad. He lied straight to my face over and over again, and I just couldn't accept that. So he's gone. He's off the show, and I'm wary of this guy, and I recommend other people be wary of him. Okay, that's the end of the first segment. Bye.
經錯過我哋精彩嘅節目，而家上嚟呢個網址就可以訂閱晒我哋8大頻道，付費之後仲可以重溫晒所有精彩嘅節目。記得要訂閱我哋嘅 YouTube channel 同埋讚好我哋嘅 Facebook 專頁啊！